All right, traders, watch this video for Monday, November 5th for our day trading. Remember, as you watch the video, I am a day trader. I am not looking to hold overnight, never do. So keep that in mind. None of this is investment advice. The SPY actually had a pretty wide range today. It gapped up. It sounded like good news in pre-market. Then before the market even opened, it sounded like bad news. Like the good news was thwarted, and then so you had this wide range today. Looks like over 5 points in range in the SPY. I'll show you the intraday. Now, the interesting thing was, and I don't know how many of you watching this were in chat on Friday or not, but the interesting thing was nothing really gave me a buy signal. This is how the market opened, right? Gapped up, climbed a little bit. Nothing really gave me a buy signal. And then the market did this. And I just think having rules in place, oftentimes underlying weakness in the market that maybe you don't see yet, keeps your keeps the longs from signaling as long as you have rules in place, right? As long as you're not jumping in at the open at random. So I had no trades, literally, and I'll show you this. I'll slide this over. I got some notes on this one. EMES. This is the opening 2-minute candle right here, so you can see the time down here. So again, for those of you that weren't in chat, this was my first call all day, which happened probably close to 11 o'clock. And I called it over that there was a 320 seller. The earlier high was 323. So you had a catalyst just above, very clean flag, great relative volume, great relative strength as well. And the 320 seller broke and it went all the way to, I don't know, almost 360 or something like that on, I think, 7 cents risk. 320. I think the stop was at 315 or 314. So it doesn't get much better than that. And it just goes to show, if you're patient and wait for A+ setups and just don't over trade, in other words, kind of act like a sniper, there's money to be made even on weird days like today with that big ugly SPY candle. All right. So what are we watching for Monday? This is one of my favorite charts going into Monday. SLS. You had this big 20 million volume day on Thursday from $1.36 to $1.93, and then today a very nice quiet inside day. Love it over today's high, over $1.84. I think that might be enough to push you through this $1.93. Then the whole number 2 might come into play, and you might squeeze. So my favorite setup on the whole watch list for Monday is SLS. By the way, quick note, you get an extra hour of sleep this weekend, so if you don't know that, it's time to set your clocks back this weekend. All right, VCYT. I'd said going into Friday that even though this is only pulled back for one day, it's so strong that it might bounce on Friday, and it did. Having said that, if I show you the intraday, it just took off straight out of the gate. I don't chase, and then it didn't give any kind of signal the rest of the day. But now that the market's closed, it is kind of interesting. Right? I had this big run, then a red day, and then kind of starting to turn right back up. So it's on long watch, but again, only with the proper signal on Monday. ABIO was holding up really well. I had this 2 days where it was kind of strong, and then today, decent volume for the stock, pushing cleanly above the 200-day. This one might continue higher on Monday, so we'll see. Fitbit, FIT. I don't know. It's extended from the moving averages, but you've got a very clean 2-day high right at 620 yesterday and today. If I show you the 15-minute chart, there's the big gap up and the pop to 620 yesterday, and then today just kind of helping still form like a 2-day flag right below 620. So if we get a proper setup, this one might be a good play through 620. It almost seems too obvious, though, so I'm going to be careful and make sure it's giving me a low-risk setup if it sets up at all. VVUS, nice volume for this stock and closed pretty strong in a pretty weak tape. We'll look for a continuation day in that one. I meant to type dry ships there on Monday. Dry ships, okay, back here, DRYS hit 628. Today, it actually hit 633, so it kind of took out this high. My problem with dry ships, and the shippers have been strong, but my problem with it is that it's run 4 days in a row to get there. So I can't say I'm in love with it. But when you look at it on an intraday basis, it's pretty darn strong most of the day, especially after looking like it was going to roll over. So that one, and probably all the shippers, the baby shippers, again, are worth watching. I've chosen to put dry ships as my shipper to watch. Again, I don't really like it very much because it's been running for 4 days in a row. I'd like to see the shippers go sideways for a few days. But anyway, we'll see. EMES, there's that chart that I showed you today that I called just over this tight little flag here, right? Over that 320 seller. It actually ended up going to 364. And it happened right away. You guys know I like stuff that has catalyst. clean level 2 and a catalyst above and relative strength and all that. So hopefully when you take a trade, you get this kind of result where it just doesn't look back. Those are the trades I try to find, right? Stuff, I call it stuff that should work right away if it gets past that inflection point trigger that I'm looking for. So EMES, because of the big volume, wasn't a very strong close, but certainly that volume is going to stand out. People looking at charts this weekend, worth watching on Monday. OGEN, kind of obscure, but on, let's see, this would have been Tuesday. On Tuesday, it had 13 million shares traded, which is a lot for the stock, and it went from 81 to $1.25, kind of consolidating, and then today starting to curve back up. So it's kind of obscure, but still worth watching. RGSE, big volume today, 43 million shares, topping out right at 50 cents-ish, closing at 43, but that one might get a follow-through day on Monday. ACRX was halted most of the day. Then the FDA decision came out, and their drug was approved, and it had a really nice pop, topping out at 505, which I think was a new high for the year. Before that, it was 503. Nice volume. Certainly worth watching for a continuation of the big push on Monday. All right, from Friday on Monday. CRMD. Don't love it, but you do see it had bigger volume than it's had in probably 10 days maybe, and a pretty strong close. It was really strong back here, came all the way back down and kind of filled this gap, chopped sideways. So maybe it's back up from here. Let's look at it on 15-minute candles real quick. Let me pan out a little bit. It does. You kind of have a little cup and handle on 15s here. I think this could have a continuation day on Monday. And then lastly, I'm going to watch, and this is kind of obscure too, GLBS. I talked about dry ships. If the shippers do get going, GLBS had a really big 2-day run here, and I'll give you the numbers. It ran from 6:35 on Wednesday morning to 11:90 on an intraday basis on Thursday, and then today, much lower volume, kind of a quiet inside day. So if shippers get going, this is probably my favorite one for a possible squeeze. You can see how this one can really move on not that much volume. So keep your eyes on shippers and GLBS, the one I'm going to really focus on if it gives a low risk setup and if shippers are moving. That's plenty to watch. And if you add to that, we're going to watch, add some gappers in the morning in the pre-market on Monday. My charts will be full. My monitors will be full. We'll have plenty to watch on Monday. And have a great weekend. And we'll see everybody in the chat room on Monday.